Hi, I'm Mike Compton. You're watching In the Game, my online video series of board game and card game tutorials and quick start guides. In each episode, I'll take a specific game, provide a brief review of it, and then teach you how to play it. Now, the teaching approach I take in these videos is very interactive. What I mean by that is I'll occasionally ask you to pause the video and do things like deal out the cards now, set up certain pieces, and so forth. I take this approach because I've found that people learn games most effectively if they're learning while doing. By getting someone in the game as quickly as possible, rules and explanations make a lot more sense. So, if you're sitting down, have the game in front of you, and want to learn how to play with your friends the first time, this video is designed for you. Now, if you don't have the game, this video will still give you an idea of what the game is like and can help you make a decision if it's something you want to buy. So, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. Today's game is Ticket to Ride, designed by Alan R. Moon and published by Days of Wonder. It's a game for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, and it takes anywhere from a half hour to an hour to play. There are a lot of reasons to recommend this game. First off, the overall game length is very manageable. A half hour to an hour to play a game is not a very lengthy time commitment. And it's a game that's very quick to set up, so you can pull it out, play it, and finish in a very short amount of time. The rules of the game are fairly straightforward. Thus, this game is one that will most likely work for the whole family. Turns are also very quick in the game, so this is a game that moves at a very satisfying pace. Now, let's get you in the game. Okay, to get started, the first thing you'll want to do is set up the main game board on the table. Then each player needs to pick a color. For each color there is a set of 45 trains. You will want to count and make sure you have 45 trains in your color. If you have extra, then set the extra trains aside. If you're short a train or two, Days of Wonder includes a set of some extra trains just in case they miscounted when grouping the trains together. Or also if you happen to lose a train down the road. Each player will also take the round score marker of their color, and they'll place that score marker on the 100 spot on the score track. The score track circles the entire game board, and this track is how you keep track of the points that you've earned during the game. Next, you'll separate the train cards and the tickets. The train cards are these cards with the bluish backs on them. The tickets are the cards with the brown backs, and they've made it easy by putting the word ticket right there on the card. You'll shuffle these 2 decks separately and place them on the table. Go ahead and take a minute if you need to stop the video to do that. Now that you've shuffled the decks, place the train card deck on the table and take the top 5 cards off the top and place them face up next to the board like this. Now deal out 4 of these cards to each player. And do so face down, and go ahead and take a second if you need to stop it again to do that. Now, once you've done that, each player can go ahead and pick up their train cards, and as you look at your train cards, you're going to notice that there are various colors: blue, orange, red, etc. Okay? Now that you have your 4 train cards, it's time to deal out 3 tickets to each player face down, and the players may look at their tickets. Now, at this point, before the game begins, you'll need to make a decision with respect to these 3 tickets that you were just dealt. However, for that decision to make any sense, I need to go ahead and explain what your options are during a normal turn during the game. So let's go ahead and do that first. On your turn, you can do one of 3 things. You can either take cards, play cards, or take additional tickets. And let's get into the specifics of what those mean. If you choose to take cards, that means you're going to take some train cards from these options down here. Okay, you can take from either the face down draw pile, or you can take from the face up options. And you can draw 2 cards. In drawing 2 cards, you can mix and match. meaning you could draw 2 face-down cards, or instead you could draw a face-down and a face-up, or you could draw 2 face-up. Now whenever you draw a face-up card, it immediately gets replenished from another card from the face-down draw pile. Now something to note here is if there's ever a wild card that becomes available in the face-up draw pile, wild cards that are face-up cannot be taken in connection with another card for the turn. So if you choose to take the face-up wild card, that is your only card you can take for your turn. Wild cards are especially powerful in the game, and if you could take multiple face-up wild cards, that would be a pretty powerful thing to happen for you. Now, if you draw from the face-down pile and happen to draw a wild card, that's okay, and you can still take another card. The reason why is because if you draw a card from the face-down pile and none of the other players saw that it was a wild, they don't know you drew a wild. Therefore, you can choose to draw from here and then potentially draw another card. Sometimes people will even draw 2 cards off of the draw pile and get 2 wilds, which is a pretty lucky thing to happen. But you don't know what you're getting, so there's reward, but there's also risk in choosing to do that. The second thing that you can do is you can choose to play cards on your turn. If you choose to play cards, this is where the routes are important. Each route has a certain number of spaces and has a color. So let's look at a specific example. In this example, the route from El Paso to Dallas is 4 spaces long and is red, meaning if you want to play cards on your turn instead of drawing cards, and you wanted to place trains from El Paso to Dallas, you would need to discard 4 red cards out of your hand, and then you can place your trains on the board. So, if you discarded 4 reds, then you could put 4 of your trains down, like so. When you place trains on the board for a turn, you can only place 1 route's worth of trains at a time. So for example, if you had enough cards to go from, say, Dallas all the way up to Santa Fe on a turn, that would be 2 routes, which is not allowable. You could only do 1 route for this turn, so you'd have to pick which one. So maybe you would do this route on a turn, and then on the next turn when it comes around to you again, you would do the next route. When you place trains on the board, you get points for the route that you just built. In my example of El Paso to Dallas, I built a route that was 4 trains long. On the bottom right hand corner of the board is a chart that helps you know how many points you just earned. So if I built a 4 train long route, and it has the 4 and has 4 cars here, just for clarification, on the right hand side that tells me that I earned 7 points for that. That means that I would move my score marker 7 spaces on the track on the outside of the board to keep track of the fact that I just earned 7 points. You'll notice that shorter routes are worth fewer points and longer routes are worth more points. At the same time, it takes more cards to build the longer routes. If you choose to play cards on your turn and place trains on the board, you have to play enough cards to complete a route for the turn. If you look at Santa Fe and Oklahoma City, the route between those two is 3 blues. What this means is, on my turn, if I chose to play cards and I chose to claim this route on my turn, I would have to play all 3 blue cards at once. In other words, a player can't, say, play 2 blue cards now and then wait and try to play the 3rd blue card on a later turn. You have to play them all at once on a turn or not at all.